What's up? Um, anyway, I gotta get better at timing that. I think I clicked that a second too late. Probably was pretty awkward. I don't really know why I started this one. I was just been sitting here for the past I don't know how long, hours and hours, just playing music, playing my banjo. And we have a show tomorrow. And then I left because I thought I need a break. I'm just gonna go drive around. And as soon as I started driving around, I don't know why I was just like, man, maybe I should just go start a stream and see what people are doing tonight. If anyone wants to join in, if anyone's watching, feel free to hop in here. I'll post the link in here. Yeah, I don't know why I was just like, if anybody's free tonight, if anyone feels like just talking about whatever. I don't really have anything, an agenda or anything to talk about. There's certain ideas I guess I could talk about, but like I said, I just don't feel like it. I'd rather talk to people than just monologue with myself. But yeah, this is. If anyone's interested, this is my banjo. Had it for a long time. 11 years now, maybe. Another thing I was kind of curious about too, if anybody is watching, I don't know how bad it sounds, is I actually have a nice microphone. I just never go take the trouble to set it up because it pulls a lot of power unless I'm actually going to try to record something, which I usually don't do that either because I don't really know how to do that. I don't set it up when I'm just hopping on to talk to people because I don't know. I don't feel like taking the time to do that. I just got to hook up more cords and everything. But I don't know how this would actually sound. So if anybody is actually listening, let me know if it just comes through all muffled or if it's glitchy or anything. Well, it's hard to put headphones in the way. Hey.
Hello, hello.
Hey, what's up? How's it going? I don't think
it's going great.
Have we spoken before?
I don't believe so. I've only jumped on a live stream once before with Luke, with the infamous Luke Thompson.
Oh yeah, he's fun. He's a fun guy. He's a good friend.
Who I think coined, I think, a great notion now, an explicit coining of the mosaic vision. I think a lot of us share these, kind of catching a lot of the patterns into a bigger pattern kind of thing. So
yeah,
as I try to simply put it. But it's nice to meet you, Jason. What kind of music are you?
I basically the band. I was in a band like 10 years ago. It was mostly folk. It was just me and two other guys, and then we split up and didn't play for a long time. And my two younger sisters play. Well, they both play and sing. So I did stuff on and off with them, and then like last year, kind of redid the band and included my younger sisters. And so it's folk, indie, rock. I don't really know what to call it anymore.
I love that. It's cool. It's cool. I go with the line that I like every genre of music I've ran into except for two. When I was young, I was into the hip hop stuff, but I've fallen out of that. So the gangster rap stuff I do not like, and there's a screaming rock and roll that I've never been able to get into. But other than that, every genre I've ran into in my life, I've found either songs or artists or I've enjoyed. So
nice.
So maybe we could talk about music. I think there's a good integral piece to TLC and music. Maybe we want to investigate that.
Yeah, that'd be fun. So another thing with I will say about our music though too is like I'm not like that great of a musician. It seems like a lot of our stuff is more lyrically based. So this is one thing I kind of been noticing on the topic of music that I feel like either people are really musically, like when they're listening to music, they're either really drawn to the music aspect or they're drawn to the lyrics. And I've always been more drawn to the lyrics, I think. I mean, it's always a combination of both, but one kind of,
Well, I think that goes right into the the propositional realm we're in, right? The propositional heavy realm. And, sometimes I feel like I come a little bit heavy handed with either my observations or some can perceive as critiques. But, the power of the proposition, as JV, you're going to find that I regurgitate a lot of John Vervaeke. I just come out, but he's my hero. Yeah. So, the, uh, the
I'm actually
proposition.
not super familiar with Vervaeke. I mean, I know
Whoa.
him. I know.
This okay
I
now.
know he's been around here. I just haven't and I haven't listened to a lot of
No,
his
that's
lectures
fine.
and everything.
That's
So you might
fine.
have to catch me
That's
up when
fine.
you say
No, that's fine.
propositional.
Yeah, that's fine. It's this. I'm so glad I jumped in tonight then, because this has been kind of my rub in the corner is, and now it's just obvious. It's just my bias. It's been my bias on my entry into the corner was through his Awakening from the Meaning Crisis series. Are you familiar with any of that series?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of
Okay.
I know he has 4 Ps, and I mostly
Yeah.
hear it through the
Okay.
grapevine. I haven't actually gone and listened to him, and I've heard
For sure.
Vervaeke in interviews. I like listening to him in interviews with other people. And I like his too. I've tried some of his lectures and I haven't really tried that hard. I'll just 30 minutes in, on my mind will wander off. And he's one of those people you got to pay attention with, or you just
Yeah. It's you gotta well, and we're all struggling with the modern attention. uh it's becoming packaged and marketed, and so they figured out the 20 minutes is about as long as it goes, and the 30-second clips on TikTok are really, really marketable. And so it all actually just kind of backs up JV and but more Peugeot. Or how familiar with Peugeot?
I'm a lot more
Or,
familiar with Peugeot.
okay,
Yeah,
there you go. We'll get right on with him.
yeah.
So, because he's a big proponent of the attention, right? He really hammers that, attention is the implicit action. Perception is an action. To pay attention over here is to sacrifice paying attention over there, and so we're every action is a sacrificial is a sacrificial movement. And anyway, so to realize that you know fundamentality of attention, and then you just see how the modern world has spiraled out and just navel gazed on it and marketed it, and worshipped it as kind of a mammon method. But I would say it's a perfect exemplification, and I'm so kind of glad. I'm kind of getting stuck right on my face on my little hypothesis that I thought JV was such a central role, and I think he still is. I think he still is. His vocab. You even said with the grapevine, but I think there's so much more to this corner that my bias, my intuition that I thought was good, but now I find is a little bit self-deceiving. And it's so funny too, because and I had a moment the other night with one of the new video makers in this corner. I think it might have been Waves of Obsession, which I think his name is Al. I don't want to mistake his name, but anyways, he had the analogy of this church with different facets, and kind of the kernel being us really delving into this different level of a YouTube existence through like the Peterson phenomenon. And I kind of can take that with JV being on playing his part, Peugeot playing his part. But yeah, so if anybody's going to be able to help you catch up on JV, I just spill Awakening from the Meanings Crisis. I call myself an amateur cognitive scientist. I tell everybody he's my hero. Because here's the thing, Jordan really, he definitely woke me up and kind of shook the door on, hey, there's some things going wrong. But what JV opened up was just a sophistication, a rigor, and the notion of really investigating self-deception and really investigating the machinery of my cognition and understanding myself. And that was the change of, that really things got good with things in my life got a little bit better with Jordan, and as kind of this digital cheerleader, but my worldview was transformed with JV.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of good stuff about him, and like I said, I mean, I know there's like the Three Horsemen or something. That's probably Jordan Peterson, John Vervaeke, and Jonathan Pageau. At least in this like corner, it seems like. But yeah,
I think that's very.
It's kind of the same with me. I think stumbled across Jordan Peterson's biblical lectures, which a lot of people did, and then that. I think I can't remember if I discovered PDK or Pageau first. I can't remember. But then I just kind of would watch most of Pageau's stuff more than Vervaeke or Peterson's or anything. And then I haven't kept up with Jonathan Pageau in probably a year now though. Just because last year I was so busy, I didn't get to keep up with much anything.
Yeah. Well, he's a bit of a goober for me. I mean, well, in a way, he's a perfect fractal. As he's very paradoxical, because what he says is so profound and so impactful. But it's also, he says the same. I don't want this to sound too harsh, but bluntly, he says the same thing over and over. Like he kind of has. Do you kind of get what I mean? Like he's always talking about seeing the bigger pattern and the attention and and so I think that's like I said, in a way I kind of love that about it, but it's also why JV is also where my desire is, because JV's on the cutting edge. JV's doing the papers. JV's talking to the guys. Reading the studies. Uncovering the new facets of really delving into know thyself. In this Socratic cognitive science way of just understanding us at the four levels.
That's an interesting point too, and with the whole. The concept of dialogos and everything that he came up with, like even him just doing that is a weird development of himself and his own cognition thing. Because I've been, I've thought of that before, even with myself too. It's like I get stuck in this place where like you study and you get these revelations, these insights, and then you kind of develop your own mantra or something. I don't know. You develop. Like I've noticed that with myself. Like I'll say the same thing over and over, and I don't know if that's important to do or if it's just almost a weird sort of laziness where like I don't get involved enough into the conversations to incorporate more and be able to more. And so I don't know with Pageau. I wonder if like some of that happens too, because maybe he's just so busy now with his artwork and. Because I guess maybe that's probably pretty arrogant for me to say, but I have noticed, at least in my personal life, there's times where if I can actually there's times where I can get development from having these conversations, and there's other times where I can just like kind of isolate myself and study and almost germinate, and then I get like new insights and revelations from that.
For sure. For sure, and I hope, like again, I hope I wasn't coming off again me as arrogant or aggressive on like a critique.
No.
And don't get me wrong, I still vociferously consume all the new stuff he puts out. I do it as more of like a comfort food, where JV's conversations his are more like, all right, here's the adventure. Where is this going to go now? Where Pageau is like, I want to hear from. I love the analogy of I hope I'm not giving the.
I know exactly what you mean. I think that's why I haven't really listened to him and kept up with him in a while, because it is it's not exactly the same thing, but it is like kind of similar enough where he's almost doing the same thing every time. And every once in a while you'll get little nuggets where you're like, oh, this is great, but a lot of times it's just
And here's the thing, having this tried and true and faithful worldview that I love, and I think he's so prophetic on how one thing he just I loved was he said deconstruct all the way down. Don't just deconstruct what you want. Deconstruct my little line is deconstruct all you know and love. And then you pop out on the other side in that embodied phenomenological stance. And he just says, okay, well, I'm here, and Christianity is my heritage and tradition, and investigating blah blah. But here's where I do want to kind of come back and give credit. You can take that that faithful, tried and true worldview, and then apply it to different phenomena, different events, different occurrences, and get more, a colorful, varied insight. But my point is, I guess at the end of the day, is he's offering that same tried and true worldview and the go to church, stamp at the end. And like I said, I love him for that. And they're different humans for that, and then they're different, legs of the corner for that.
Yeah.
And I think and for the Dialogos thing, just to kind of touch on that again, like I totally think that's what podcasts were. Okay, our nation, our culture stopped having conversations. We stopped talking about the intimate, deep things. We started only doing rhetoric, bullshit, talking points. Bullshit in the technical term, the John Vervaeke, Harry Frankfurt notion, not a vulgar way, but so we manifest these conversations, and so I think the Dialogos it nails it. It's. Have you ever been lost in a conversation, Jason? Have you ever had such a good conversation that you lose yourself in it?
Yeah.
Yeah, as I have, and most of those conversations and moments are some of my most cherished memories and conversations and moments. Yeah. And so, my last name, it's a little syncretic, is in Italian, means to speak, and as a Christian, here always, since I came to Christianity late, as a very philosophical and rigid journey to it, through CogSci and JV and stuff. I always like to give the disclaimer, here comes the Christianity, but with my worldview on it is, in the beginning was the Word, the Word made flesh, so it's these are very, very important things, and I think that's the other thing that I think, just to add to the conversation of what is TLC. It's this, and that's why I jumped in tonight. As you said, you were just hanging out, wanted to have a conversation, and I'm a little bit monologue sick. Honestly, I'm a little bit, and maybe that's a little bit too harsh too. I don't want to be too heavy with my terminology, but just the dialogues are what I love. The conversations are what I love, and that's what the podcasts are. And that's to give credit again with PVK is he's diagnosing and analyzing and kind of synthesizing some ideas from these conversations in a monologue fashion, and he does some conversations as well. But I just that would be my stamp on what is TLC trying to do. We are another fractal wrestling with the tone-offs of a now hybrid existence of embodied and digital, and lacking community. So we're trying to make a community in that genre, and it's about conversations. It's about people meeting people in conversations. That would be my perspective.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Luke Thompson says the same thing too. It's about the people. That's what's always been most interesting about it. And even with PVK, like his randos conversations, I always thought were some of the best. And even his monologues, like I think, like you're saying, personally, if I see a video of his, if I see one where I can tell he's in a conversation with someone over one where he's got, he's doing a monologue and everything, I'll click on the conversation. Like always do that one first. But the monologue one still, I think, I like those two because I think at least he seems to, he does them a little bit differently too. He seems to still really be in conversation when he's doing them a lot too, because he'll it's
kind of the dialogue
from this person. Yeah. And it's like, he's commenting on this and that and this, and then he's pulling in previous conversations he's had to comment on them more. And the thing with his too is I think what I really, the comment, he'll actually, you can get involved in the comment section too and everything, which is nice. I haven't kept up with his PVK's videos as much as I should. It's just there's so much stuff out there now, but
it's content overload for sure. Well, and maybe just if I could back up and reframe, because maybe and not frame it as a critique is I would just say the ones I enjoy more are the dialogues. Maybe I don't have to say I'm monologue overload, but I guess,
even in PVK is I like it best when he hops in on Luke's streams or something. I'm like, this is great because he's just he's so you just get. He's always the same person, but he's just it's just more. It feels more real, because he'll be out walking the dog or something, and
I guess where I would just to maybe my my final kind of point on it would just be, if you have, I feel like there would be maybe two poles of it. Would be a very off the cuff, talented kind of riffer, like I think PBK kind of does, or a very rigid, talented, eloquent, written out, choreographed piece. I think those would be your two poles. Very, very choreographed, or there's very, very spontaneous, and somewhere on those you can really, really jazz me up. But I think, yeah, I don't want to critique it too much. I think for me, it's the conversations. It's where can because there's an adventure in that too. There's an adventure in that. I guess. I mean, I'll just put my cards on the table. One of the sayings I have is, I want on my tombstone. This is why he always said we should have. This is why we must have conversations. He always said this is why we must have conversations, because how many times in my life I've had a good conversation and something jars out of the subconscious, and it's something that it's right on this liminal edge where it's like, I jump in my physiology. I'm like, man, I've been wanting to get that explicit, but I never could do it until I had a conversation. And I said, and I always mark it with, well, this is why we have to converse this, because there's something I can only go to a certain level in that, dialogical, monologue, inner self, that kind of chatter. I know that was a little bit contradictory, but I think there's a bit of a paradoxical there, because it is kind of univocal, but it also it's multi-perspectival, if that makes sense. It is always me, but it is always, there's also so much accretion in different aspects, pushing back and kind of dialoguing it within the dialogical self, as John Vervaeke would say.
So I got a question for you then. So with that on your tombstone and wanting to have more conversations, do you ever find yourself in conversations where you're just like, it's one you don't, not necessarily one you don't want to be in, but just like topics that don't interest you, and you have to find ways to make it interesting or something? Yeah.
Here's the thing, and guess what? I'm an Italian. I'm a Italian American, a huge family, youngest of 5, 92% percentile extroverted. I am the biggest people. I mean, it sounds too hormone. I'm the biggest people person. It is so hard to get into that conversation with me, and yet I still do, brother. And yet I still do. There are moments where I'm like, man, I can spin a good, a good experiential conversation. I can take that JP wisdom. I love this one of any moment there's something to learn. Any moment, any experience, any conversation, there can be something to learn. And I truly try and embody that. But boy, you do. I mean, and this comes to the JV zombification, notion. You let propositional tyranny reign so far, and you disembody, and you lose the embodiment so far, and you worship politics so much, and you've lost philosophy so much to where the sophists and rhetorists are dominate, and all you have is zombified talking points and rhetoric. And so you can just walk into a conversation and boom, they say something, or a trigger word, or a mannerism, and it's like, oh, I know your whole profile, and it's sad and scary to say that. Or it's the other where it's just, oh, I know you're completely soaking in the toxic culture, that you're just on the porn, video games, and soda, and God bless them for it, and I don't want to sound too
porn, video games, and soda.
Yeah. I don't want to sound too hard. Yeah, I've had my own. I don't want to sound too hard, but here's the thing, Jason. I also don't, and this is where I get right up to the line with me and my hero JV. I also don't want to deny reality. There's something to JV. I love JV's wisdom, and I think it's a big part of this corner is that, we have deemed the political is not where the meaning is. We have deemed, hey, the world is worshiping mammon. I've now coined the term with Luke. Now I've now just realized that Luke has the right term, mammon, when I've just been saying for years, money, power, politics. That we've fallen into this realm of worshiping money, power, politics. But it's here we have decided that, oh, that's where the bullshit went. That there's something that needs to be most high. And even if JV's not going to say God, he will say the most true, the most good, the most beautiful, and if we want to say that semantics, ha ha ha. But my point is to deny what's going on in reality is I cannot do that. I cannot do that. So that was and I don't want my comment to be too harsh, but to say that there's not a porn, video game, soda epidemic, I would just disagree with
it. It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's
and like
that's
I said,
good. That's good to say. What'd you say?
Well, and I just wanted to say, and God bless them, and I pray that they get out of their struggles, just like I want, one day I think I'm going to get on Chad and I'm going to have my therapeutic spill all about my gnarly adventure to get to TLC. But I've had my own struggles.
Man, let's hear it. I'd love to hear it.
Here now.
If you want to, if you want, I can tell you how I came around. I can tell you my whole backstory if you want. I really don't care. It's just kind of long and drawn out like everybody else's, but yeah. But you can go ahead. I'd love to hear more of your story and get to know you more.
Well, I think I promised it to Chad. I think I'm going to try and see if I can get on that. But if you want to talk about how you got here, I'd listen. Or if you want to just continue with, I was having a very good vibe with it. There you go. Well, let's get back to music. Let's spin back to music. How about that?
Yeah. So how does this tie in? How does Vervaeke tie into music?
Say it again.
Because I brought up music and I brought up that it seems like some people, well, there's always a combination of, lyrics and the music and like sound and everything. But then I've always been more drawn to lyrics. And the music is important too, but I'm mostly like when I used to buy CDs in like high school, first thing I'd pull out the thing and just read through the lyrics as I listened to it and everything. But then Cal, my good friend Cal, he said he hardly ever listens to lyrics. And my brother-in-law is the same way. He said he never really listens to the lyrics at all. He's always listens to music. And so that was the thing I was bringing up. There seems to be like two, I'm sure there's more than just two types of people, but there's two types of people. And I didn't know what's going on there or which type are you? Do you listen to the lyrics more?
Well, I'm for sure a lyricist, But I would also say, I dabble in write. It's this. Here, this is what I wanted to say at first. What jumped in my brain. This is how I like to have conversations anyway. So we're going to be real good, authentic friends. This is how I do for my conversations with my friends in real life. Is when I give my own version of dialogues, is I try and say, if I don't have a good response, I try and give you what immediately jumped to me. So the immediate movement in my cognition was Ian McGilchrist, was a left brain versus right brain, was that. And again, when I make these distinctions or sound like critiques, I don't want them to sound overly, because I know there's a balance and a tonos, a tension of all these things. But I think with the propositional heavy culture that we've, put the proposition so high that we've all, totally even lost what John would call, the participatory and perspectival. Then it would go to the procedural, and then the propositional would be the four stacking. And those would mimic the embodiment, the embedded, the enacted, and the extended. I would say that perhaps there's a use for both, for sure, right? There's a use for that left brain that needs to really have the detailed, grasp of a notion of a song lyric, of a song, of a message in a song, of a line of something you can grasp and really understand. But then I think there would also be the right brain notion of enjoying the melody of it reminds me also of the Nietzsche quote of what is it about those who could hear the music, or something about those who could dance. There's some, for me, for butchering a Nietzsche quote. Yeah. For me, for butchering a Nietzsche quote, damn me. But the point is I think there's a gestalt there of really appreciating the entirety, the wholeness of a musical piece, and then there would be the left detailed notion of really the finite beauty and real detailed what it would be, a particularity of a song and a story. Because then I would also tell you is I would if we want to go back, long time ago, I used to really be a sciencer and an evolutionary biologist, and I still love evolutionary biology, and evolutionary biology plays a role in Coxsci, but I no longer worship it. But if we were to take that perspective down, if you go back far enough, I believe it would be a more melodic chanting rhythm. I think I don't know if lyrics would have been the origination of primitive music. If you get my
Yeah,
my
I think you're
drift.
probably right. Yeah, that would make sense.
So
that it would be more.
and so I would think, well, and I think that would also, an ancient, more primal man would also have a less left dominated, propositionally dominated, culture that prioritizes the left brain worldview and stance, kind of demographic or template, maybe, is what I'm trying to say. But you get my point. That's kind of like what I got for you on that. But my point with the music thing, Jason, is man, music is so profound. You can go anywhere with music in this corner. I think, as an analogy, or at least as a starting point and jump point. That's also, of course, too, is we don't have to sit here and talk about music. We can spin the conversation where it may from there. But that would be my first go at a more lyrically inclined music lover versus a more melodic.
That makes sense. That makes sense, because the more you develop words, the more you're kind of that's what is that, left brain process, because you're further defining things and making things more complex. Yes. Yeah, that's really interesting. Right. I wonder. I haven't even thought of if there's different types of people that are drawn to it more. One thing I've noticed that I've really started to appreciate more and more and more is Indian music. Because I don't know the language, and the music is totally different too. And I think they have like more notes or something. I don't know what's going on, but it's really strange. That feels.
Now, are you talking about India or Native American?
India. Yeah.
India. Okay. See, I was almost okay. I don't know if I have looked into that one. I know I have looked into some more Native American chanting stuff, and when I work out or run, there is some. Yeah. I've spun into a couple weird ones and Gregorian chants to get worked out and get pumped up. Yes, and then some Native American stuff. Yeah, Native American. It's just some real primal, just rhythmic stuff, man.
So do you got any? I had a question, just like not just some normal questions, I guess. Do you got any favorite musicians or bands? They can name.
Oh man.
Just get to know you.
Yeah, I mean, I have such an eclectic taste, man. I mean, off the top of my head, I grew up, really liking what the ska was doing. Then I kind of spun out into the hip hop stuff, where I kind of really messed up my life for a little while. We'll get to that with the Chad talk, but and kind of spurned me. Like I said, now I've grown up and kind of really critique that genre of music. I think, especially we can bring back the Peugeot stuff, even the notion of, I don't listen to the lyrics, I just like the beats. Like, no, you bathe your attention in those lyrics, and I know those lyrics, ashamedly, I delved into that lifestyle for a little bit, and those lyrics are all about violence, crime, drug use, and women abuse. That's all those lyrics are. So, but we can move on for that. But yeah, so I recently came back to rock. So later in life, I came back to rock and roll after kind of a, propagandized, critical view on it. And Volbeat, have you heard of Volbeat?
No.
Okay. Well, I think they're like a Norwegian rock band that they do a lot of historical figure stuff. And so I'm such a nerd. Once I scratched that for a little bit and kept on finding the different historical figures that they were jamming out with lyrics about and stories about. I loved that. And then to round it out, I would go, this is not kind of controversial, Michael Jackson. Grew up Michael Jackson.
Nice.
Um,
Hey, look who's here. Chad, hop in here.
look at him. There he goes. Speak of
you
the
can hop,
devil.
yeah, hop in here, don't you, Chad? We're just hanging out, talking about music, actually. Lyrics and music and different.
I'm gonna be. Hey, I've heard him talk music on one of his conversations. I will be the total amateur here. This is one of those who can do those who can't do love or teach or whatever. I cannot do or I'm not musically inclined, so I just love music. Like I can't sing, I can't play. I'm not super knowledgeable, but I know this. I love damn near all the genres. Damn near.
They sound heavily influenced by Metallica. Who's they? What does that mean? Is he
Volbeat?
talking about Volbeat? Is that what you mean? I guess I don't know.
I'm not sure, but here's what the point with kind of the bigger emphasis with that was after kind of my gnarly years in life, I fell back in love with rock, or I fell in love with rock and roll for the first time. Hey, Chad,
What's up?
and it was through them. It was through them. It was like my first introduction to rock and roll, just because of my weird worldview and friend group that I had fallen into, or anti-friend group, that it was just rock and roll wasn't cool. It was rap was cool, hip hop was cool. So
Yeah.
Cool. It's good to finally meet you.
how you doing, Chad? I emailed you this afternoon.
Good. Yeah.
Good.
Actually, I got this Matthew, right? Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I received it. I just haven't responded yet.
It's okay. It's okay.
Looking forward to hearing your story.
Yeah,
I was gonna pull it out
kind
of him, and he said, "I'm gonna save it for Chad."
I think he does a really good job. I think he's got a talent for it. I've watched a few of them, and I don't watch just the worst of content. I can turn off one if I don't like, and he's got a real knack for it. He listens when he should listen, and he adds, I think, when he should add.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I think a lot of it has to do with that. I don't really know what to say.
Well, and I think you've set the template. Is like, hey, if you want to come and tell how you got to TLC, come and tell how you got. And I think that's a perfect niche. I think. And by the way, I'll put my cards on the table. And this was actually a project I had thought of before, kind of alongside TLC, maybe before TLC was getting super explicit, was my own kind of my own YouTube channel of just going out into, because I'm, like I was telling Jason earlier, is I'm the youngest of five, big Italian family. I was I was an athlete when I was young. I had a lot of made friends easily. A 92% extrovert on the Big Five test. So I can talk to pretty much anyone. I can get along with pretty much anyone. So I was gonna do, and what I think a big lack in our culture is not real, careful conversations. And so I was just gonna set up a booth at like art walks, and just set up a booth with a camera and just say, hey man, you want to sit and talk? Do you want to sit and talk? And I was just, and Jason can vouch, is what I was just saying earlier, is I think that's what this thing is really grasping for, is it's community, but it's a community about real conversations. No more bullshit, no more talking points, no more rhetoric. It's let's dialogos. Let's see where it goes.
I think that'd be cool. I'd love to see people do more street conversations. That'd be great.
Well, I think that's what I was saying, is I think that your little niche there of what you're doing is great, and I think it's kind of morphing into a conversation. And if I do get the courage to launch a channel, and maybe I will, maybe I won't. Who knows? Who cares? But if I do, that will definitely be my template. Is I don't want to be monologues, not really, not ever, unless there's something just jumping off. I want to talk to other humans. I want to talk to other people. I want to.
I've started thinking of the channel as more of a seat at a table than a channel. Like that's how I'm conceptualizing it, because it's like otherwise you kind of like have well, I mean, I think everybody should have their own little idea of what they're doing, their own little version. I've been more and more just thinking about what it is, and it's sure, it's a YouTube channel, but I don't know, I think it's more of just like it's my seat at the table, and I want to be able to just play when I'm invited and play when when I see something interesting.
Chad, what would you say? Could I offer you this as a question? What would you say about an in-person activity, conference, maybe even like just a TLC activity? Like, would you be don't forget or remember embody down with that? Would you be cool with that? Would you be
They had the conference in Chino in May, and that was an estuary centric conference. And
did you go?
Totally great. Yeah.
Oh, you did go. Okay, so cool. All right, well that was kind of a setup question for, well, this is what I think it is the thing I've been playing with my mind is it's just another fractal. You can't get around the fractals. So it's what we're doing is, with the dissolution of community from, we don't got to get into politics, but from the modern situation, the dissolution of community, I think this is just a fractal of, look, we all already are living a hybrid existence of embodied and digital. It's already there. So we're just now kind of emanating and emerging, this little community of a digital / embodied existence. And I think that's what this is. I think that's where it's going. That's the kernel that's the image I've been playing with. And I didn't get to Chino. I thought about it for a long time, and I was kicking myself in the butt that I didn't make it out there. But I said to myself, now, the next one I will not miss. The next one that's feasible, I will not miss.
It's not really lucky. Go ahead, Jason. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna ask you a question. Is it weird when you meet people from this little corner for the first time, like in person? Is it kind of strange?
What was strange about it was just the seeing their full body in real life. It wasn't like conversation. All that stuff was already that was no problem. Everybody slipped.
Oh yeah.
There was almost no small talk at all.
Yeah, I don't know how to compare it. I
love it.
I met a few people. I met Cal the first time, just recently this past fall. And the only way I know how to describe it is kind of like going to meet a MySpace girlfriend or something. It's just it's so weird. It's weird, but it's not weird. But you see them and you're like, wait, there's a whole person there. It's not just a head anymore.
Yeah, there's a reverse uncanny valley thing that happens where it's
reverse uncanny valley.
That's good. I don't mean to sound be rude, but Jonathan Peugeot's head is huge. It's it is. I was like, dude's really big head, and he's really kind of short, but he looked like a lion. That's what I just kept thinking. Dude's got a head like a lion or something, man. And John Vervaeke, he's rather short too. And I mean, these guys were. It seemed to me 5'8" was pushing it. And
wow.
Yeah,
that would surprise me. Peugeot, I could see being short. Vervaeke, I would have thought would have been tall for some reason.
And so I'll just admit, I'm the Vervaeke weirdo. I'm the Vervaekean weirdo. And I already, me and Jason already kind of did this earlier. So I'm just gonna be the weirdo. Chad, can I get your opinion or story or how you engaged or how you perceive? Can you just riff a little bit on you and how you look at JV? And I'll just tell you my cards on the table. He's my hero. JP was amazing. JV transformed my entire worldview.
I thought. I wasn't. He didn't really super grab my attention. I was. Let's see.
I'm not putting you on the spot either.
Once I started to grab the language and understand that better, I thought that was really useful. But it was only when I saw him on. I think it was. It might have been what channel was that? Theo Von. When he was on Theo Von, I think that's what it was.
And
it was
Theo was brilliant too.
What's that?
I said Theo was brilliant too. I'm sorry, I don't have to interrupt. Go ahead.
No problem. No, so I can't put my finger on what exactly it was that has me kind of set back on my heels a little bit, but there was something about the Theo Von Vervaeke conversation where I was like, I don't really know. I don't know. I think I had a lack of trust there after that one. Something is missing there for me, anyways. So I don't know what exactly to make of it, but I think it was like a comment like this that he made where he talked about when he talked about Rafe Kelly and how he's friends with Rafe Kelly, but how Rafe Kelly first started listening to Jordan Peterson, but now he listens to me. It was some comment that was kind of like that, where I was like, "Oh, that's kind of strange
Yeah,
thing."
I don't recall that.
So I don't know. Just to me, it was just something I noticed really weird things like that. It's probably nothing, but it's just something I kind of like peculiar. That's all.
Interesting. I'm tempted to go back and watch that conversation now because I love that conversation. I will say this as a big JV guy, I thought that was a very, I mean, it is, and I thought it was for him, especially a very unique environment for him. Thea, I don't know how familiar you are with Thea, but he's a very hilarious and unique, personality, guy. And by the way, was kind of my interruption. I thought he was brilliant, and I thought Theo was so insightful, asked so many good questions. But anyway, I thought it was a little bit of a weird environment for him to act, and I thought he was a little bit over the top, as far as the JP stuff, yeah, that's very interesting dynamic. That kind of yeah, I would just want to go back and check it out. But yeah, I definitely would agree and appreciate for sure your mention of the vocab though. I think because that was one of my sticking points was that I think to not recognize how much the cognitive science vocabulary, and I think it's something that I think Jordan has definitely, especially since his he's come back from his time off or whatever we'll say, he really, I think he's really championed would be Pajot and Vervaeke, their ideas for sure, and so yeah, I just think acknowledging that cutting edge cog sci vocab is really fundamental, and it's how I think it's one of the linchpins to how we're doing the estuary style stuff, merging the science and the sciencers versus the religiousers. It's like we got to stop doing this polarized thing. Love and reason are combined. Here you go.
Yeah, I think he has a lot to offer. I like watching the progression, especially. My favorite part of Vervaeke is actually when he and Paul get to talking, and so favorite conversations to do with John Vervaeke. I think that it's good that people have found useful tools in his work to find the path that they're, how do I put that? Well, like yourself, right? Like you say he's helped you find some things, and I think that that's very good. And so I'm all about that. He brought
me back to Christianity as well.
Right. So I think that's wonderful. I just personally, I'd like, it's not exactly my jam, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but for sure.
That has to do actually my reluctance around medicine in general.
Oh wow. Okay, now that's interesting.
And I just
because he's definitely got a very technical, the institutionalized, that's the kind of the thing he's doing. Though I would say he's definitely on the cutting edge, the vanguard, in my opinion. But I definitely I see your point there. I see your point.
Yeah. So I tend to my frame has moved more towards seeing the world through uh, uh, let's say, the lexicon of spirituality and enchantment. And
Pageauian.
so when we talk about like mental health, I think more along the lines of spiritual health, I guess. I know that sounds really weird, but it's something to think about. As far as that doesn't mean I'm a naysayer against medicine or their language or anything like that. For me, it helps me to understand where I'm standing when I'm looking at it from more of an enchanted frame than a psychological frame. Although I do find the psychological frame useful, I don't think it's. I think it's a lower frame for me to
properly nested.
What's that?
It needs to be properly nested.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, like, because you look at the word like mental, and just if you look at where that word comes from, it actually meant spiritual. That's where it starts, and then it moves out of there and moves into this other frame that's disconnected from spiritual. And I think it kind of it isolates itself into this other thing that is revolving around itself more so than reality.
Lance here too. Lance,
Yeah.
hop in here if you can. I haven't talked to Lance in forever.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I would say you have more of the Pageauian kind of look, and that it has modern medicine and its frames and technicalities have its place, but it needs to be properly oriented.
Yeah, and
Interesting. I was just talking to Cal recently about medicine as well. I'm kind of in the same, I guess I would say, the same camp as you, Chad. I feel like that's usually my approach to is more. I tend to lean more that way of spiritual, and I have no problem with other people doing medicine or using medicine, taking medication at all. I personally don't. I think part of it is just because I just I don't like medicine too. I'm like, this is gross. I never liked it since I was a kid.
I mean, if I'm having to
go ahead.
if I'm ever faced with having to go to a surgeon, I mean, I've had plastic surgery and stuff like this, for my cleft lip and cleft palate. I've had all sorts of, work with doctors and stuff. I'm not opposed to it. It's just,
So,
yeah.
I got a question for both of you guys, and I'll just answer the question on my behalf. Before, were either of you guys the opposite before you? Like, did you guys have a change? Because I'll say this, maybe intuitively in my gut, I was kind of like that, but growing up, I was the opposite. I was Mr. Modern. I was Mr. Left Brain. Like this is kind of what I would, one of the climaxes and what I'll talk to Chad about with my life. Couple moments, of just transformative experiences. Like, hey, this is over. You are a different person now. Hey, this is a new view. Feeling kind of almost an out of body experience, changing kind of phenomena. So anyways, my point is I was the opposite. I was Mr. Trust the experts, trust the managers, trust the system, trust the techne. I was totally indoctrinated. I was totally in the culture, brother. And so yeah, have you both always been that way? Would be the question.
So I have to get going because I got to go to bed. I have to wake up early. I'll real quick. So for me, I grew up in the land of Hollywood and poetics and self-centered, self-serving. So I was always a daydreamer. So I grew up in a lyrical frame, a poetic frame, and so in that way, I would say I was never really a trust the experts kind of dude. I wasn't a good student in school. I didn't have a lot of respect for authority. And I would say I followed the rules, to an extent. I didn't skip school. I just didn't get really good grades. And I didn't, I always wanted to be a musician and a singer, and I loved movies. So to me, that's
Romantic.
I lived in a poetic frame, I would say. So I was always living in an enchanted frame. So
Yeah.
I gotta go, fellas. I gotta early go to jail tomorrow. So God bless.
Right.
Good night.
God bless you,
Good
Chad.
night, man. Thanks for having on. Yeah.
What you thinking,
I
Jason?
would probably say I don't know. I've never been trust the experts. I've always been I don't know that I've been like skeptical of medicine and things like that. I'm not really skeptical. I just honestly, like when I was in school, I guess I was kind of like Chad. I mean, I always liked music. I was kind of rebellious in school and things like that. But I feel like I think very mathematically. Like I actually think very left brain. And I think
that stuff gets a little bit blurrier too. I think some of that left brain, right brain. I think it's tough to. But I get what you mean on like the.
Well, that's why some of it doesn't make sense to me too. I think is because I think my mind tends to do that, and I think that's actually really useful. Thinking mathematically in left brain, I think it's very useful in terms of like seeing patterns and recognizing. And once you recognize patterns, then you see them almost. I don't know how to describe it. You see them mathematically, but then it causes me. Things will scale up, and I'll almost see them on like a totalizing scale, and so I'm like, this makes no sense at all to me, and like going to church and stuff, because I went to church in like you would call it like Word of Faith is basically the denomination it is, and it's kind of one of those like healing movement churches or whatever, and so I could there's points in that where like I can't really see the difference between like taking a pill or this or that, and I'm like, so a lot of it just didn't make sense to me. It just because I see certain things scale up, and I'm like, there's no difference in this than doing this, and I'm not against doing any of that. It just you can't avoid it.
On the noticing the kind of left brain mathematical. Would you say like kind of logical?
Yeah, logical. Yeah. So for an example, like I don't see a difference between someone taking an ibuprofen or someone like casting a magic spell on the floor very much anymore. Because I'm like, you're drawing a circle and you're containing something. Like one is physical herbs, chemical thing compacted in a little circle, and the other one is like you're performing like a seance in a room and you're compacting energy in a little circle. And so I'm like, one is spiritual healing, the other one you're looking for, but at the same time, like it's kind of the same concept. And so, but that's what I mean. I don't know. I think that's just, so, and I don't have a problem. I mean, I don't have a problem with either one. It's just like growing up in church, there's obvious problems with one and not problems. But the weird thing too is like churches do that. They just do it in, I mean, you would say in like I guess a godly manner or something. Like they won't let you go to a witch or a pagan who's going to draw a circle on the floor. But that's the thing is like, if you create an environment in a worship circle, you could have a worship circle and be praising God, and people get healed in that. And it's kind of creating a capsule, a little pill of energy.
And I think the way I would try and steel man or put back what you're saying to you. At least in maybe the farthest example I get would be kind of just the ritualization, right? Everything is ritual. Even science is a ritual. And you see today, I mean, again, I don't necessarily want to get to the political, but you see today, if the scientists are valuing certain things, then the ritual of science goes awry, doesn't it? Science gets a little weird. So I would say at that point, right there, you're kind of touching. It's like we're all just doing these tests. Now, here's where I would say is that when you have, again, here comes the Christianity, the disclaimer. When you have scientists that are properly oriented to the true, the good, and the beautiful, then I think you can take those rituals at a better. You can take those as more effective I'm failing for the word, but the simple word, it would just be tried and true, because of just the way we have practiced those, and the way we believe in those. And so you could say that because these scientists have done these rituals in this practice, that I am going to trust them for this certain technical methodology to treat my issue. And I would say, there you go. That's where you have your golden mean touching right there. But I agree. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally with you there, and I trust that completely. Like, I have a scar on my hand where I went and got surgery and stuff, and I trust people that know what they're doing, and I think people are gifted in those things, and I think people are actually used by God in those areas too, and all that stuff. And I don't have a problem taking medicine either at all. I think I'm like Chad, as I was saying, I'm very skeptical of it, and I would rather, if I'm given the choice, I would rather not. Usually, even with pain stuff, I'd rather just deal with the pain. I think because, so I can give you just an easy example too. Like in college, I was, I tried different drugs here and there, and I tried, I did Oxycontin. I didn't like that at all. I just never liked downers. Took Adderall, and that was the one I noticed, like, damn, I'm never going to take this again because I will be hooked. So I think that's one of the things too. I'll notice, like, the power of it. They're very powerful. Any medication is powerful, compacted. That's why that's its design. And so, to take it, it's nice to take it when you need something powerful real quick. But like, if I would have taken Adderall more and more, I probably would have taken other drugs that were amphetamines, and then who knows where I'd be now. So I think that's some of it too, is just kind of weirdly noticing that. I don't know. I've always been, I guess skeptical is the right word. And I don't know that that's right or wrong, but.
No, well, well, I'll say this is all we can do is what we think is best. And cards on the table, I actually share, as I live today, I share both of you guys' view on it for sure. And like I said, I think even younger when I was lost. Hi, Sterling, by the way. Buenas noches. And when I was younger, I still think, like I said, intuitively I had the same kind of, like, I think I kind of fell back when I had all these, these changes and transformative experience and landed here in TLC. I think I fell back on a lot of my, intuitive, instinctual beliefs and stuff. But nonetheless, when I was swimming in the zombification, I was trust the experts. If they told me to take they're the sciencers. They know the way. They're the elect, the managerial professionals, now where I'm at now in this corner, I would say, and this is where I also think this is where I want to see this. I love why we got to do these conversations, tie back into the left brain thing earlier you were saying, as in your younger self was, but do you think you've kind of either balanced that or outgrew to come to recognize the more right side perspective of your personality? Because I don't find that too many people in this little corner can be that left brain dominant, because they're not interested. They can't handle the paradoxes. They can't handle the blurriness of the periphery. They have to. They don't understand that the most sacred, the most profound knowledge is the recognition of the unknown. They think the knowledge is just the acquisition of the next proposition. So I would ask you that. Would you say you recognize that balance, or do you have a experience where you think like you started to see the bigger picture, the gestalt, the more right side brain?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I just started to see the bigger picture. I don't know. I haven't really thought of that much before. Yeah, because it does. Like when you are very ethical brain and thinking that way, you do run into those. You start slamming into contradiction and paradoxes, because that's just kind of how the world seemed to lay itself out. Like, but it's held together that way. And so things are held, and then you have to. Then what do you do at that point? And so, you kind of draw back and see the bigger picture and see that things are held together in unity. And there's a unity that exists between things and their opposites. And so it's, and that's when you're getting to something more fundamental and deep. But I don't know that it's really
right.
I guess it's kind of balancing the both. I don't really know. But I definitely have.
Well, that's the way.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, finish
that's-
what you're saying. Finish.
Oh, I was just gonna say I was gonna ask you the same question too. But, like, have you
Oh,
noticed a balance?
yeah, for sure. Yeah. I was gonna say. Well, that's funny because that's what's gonna be our response. Is I think it was more of a journey, but also these moments of like when I caught my felony charge, like there was a moment of like something turned on, something, the next few moments of the sitting on the jail cell, with hundreds of other criminals around me, and breaking down, and one of the first clear conscious moments of my life. There's something that was like, this is no longer a left brain. Hey, we're just doing the thing. We're just chasing the thing. We're just trying to manipulate. We're just trying to achieve. I know the answers. I got that. What do you need? I got the answer. Science this, just going with the culture, just chasing the money. We know how it works. And so, and then there was other moments with like JP lectures, or, JP lectures early on, JV lectures early on as well. And then when Ian McGilchrist lays out the left brain, right brain stuff, it's like, these recognitions of like, yes, there was a balancing, there was a jump, there was definitely a, hey, I'm now recognizing the paradoxes. I can see the gestalt, and I can see the weirdness of how, like you said, unity. There's a unity to the multiplicity, and how does that stay together? And as the Christian answer, I would say it stays together through love.
Jason?
What's up, Kirk? Go ahead, man. What you
Hey,
got?
so by JP, you mean Jordan Peterson?
Yes, sir.
Well, so the left brain, right brain is synchron. Like, so have you ever heard of the idea that, from what I understand, so the right brain is more logical and the left brain is more creative, or it's
I think it's reversed.
no?
I'm-
So
I'm-
the
well, actually-
right brain is more creative and the left brain is more logical.
Actually, I actually refer to Dr. Ian McGilchrist. He's the world's most renowned specialist on brain hemispheres. And the biggest way he goes, the biggest distinction he goes to, and this is because you don't want to get too wild with how far you can take these analogies. But he says, sees the details is the left, and sees the gestalt is the right. So the wholeness. And so he basically says it evolves from prey and predator. We both have to recognize what we need to eat and prey upon, but we also need to recognize that we also simultaneously cannot be preyed upon, so we need to avoid predators. And so there's always that tension in that paradox of like we said, we need to pay attention to the details, but we also must realize we can't be stuck in the details. The whole game is to get this and not die.
Well, that
And
might
so
be a
you
false
must pay attention to what you can manipulate, and you must pay attention to the bigger story. And that would be the left brain, right? And the left is the details, the right is the bigger story. Go ahead, Kirk.
No, but I think the details versus bigger story distinction might be false dichotomy, because when you think about it, if you have little details, they exist and they will always exist, whereas you can't have a big picture without little details. So I think having a more logical and focused mind is generally more important, because like logic exists independently, whereas a bigger picture only exists based off of logic. It's the first building block is logic. Creativity comes after logic. It proceeds after it. I think you have to have a clear building block for how you think about something before you can beautify it, and before you can think about all of its, as a more large.
Okay. Here's what I would offer you, Kirk. Is there something that moves you to think about that?
Think about what?
That you're about to use your logic on. You said to quote you said, when you have something you're thinking about, you have logic first before you can create it. So I'm saying the step before you're thinking about that, is there something that moves you for it? Because this is where Socrates would
Your
get you, would
values
try to get
motivate
you.
you.
There you go. There, you nailed it, kid. You nailed it, cool
But
kid.
your values should be rooted in logic.
Say it again.
Your values should be rooted in logic.
Yes, but should they be rooted in details or the bigger story, Bubba?
Well, they should be
Aha.
first the details of logic and then the bigger story of your values.
We're talking values.
I mean, you have to have logical reasoning first, and
We're
then
talking
after that,
values. But we backed you up before you're logically assessing the thing you're thinking about. You have valued something, and so we're talking. You have valued something to get to that thought. Correct. That's where we were. So now we're in the realm of values, and so the realm of values on left versus right brain, I would say you need to be valued, and there is no right answer. You know, you need to have the balance of both. You need to both get the food and you need to both avoid the predator. But the point is you can't overvalue the details, or you can't overvalue the bigger picture. You can't do neither. You must have the proper balance. And I think where it goes awry today, and I think that's Dr. Ian McGilchrist's point, is we have a left brain over reasoning, to not skew rationality, as John Pavecki's trying to rescue that word, but over reasoning, over logical kind of left brain. We can manipulate and see all the details and see how everything works, and it's like, no, we have this metaphor of a big bang in a vacuum of space, an onomatopoeia in a vacuum of space where noise doesn't happen. A big bang.
that's a scary
Does
thought.
that not humor?
Well,
I think it's
the thing that
humorous.
came to my mind, Kirk, when you said that. I mean, that was an interesting point to make, but it made me think of just even in Genesis 1, which I know you're familiar with, of like
What's his name?
No, Genesis 1.
Genesis
the Bible.
1.
Yeah. In the when it talks about the at first there's basically like chaos, tohu babohu or something, and then the light goes in there. And that wouldn't be necessarily, I wouldn't think that would be like any detail first. At the beginning, it's almost like a weird.
I guess that is interesting, but that is the paradox of how detailed is God? Because God is everything, but he's also singular.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I love that. I love you asked that, because the way I see the Neoplatonic Christian answer is ultimate reality is love. The one loves the many, and that's how it allows the many to exist. If the one ultimate reality, God, loves, then multiplicity can happen, because the one will not oppress, will not suppress, will not revolt, will not dominate, will not destroy. It will love. If you love something, you let it exist. That's the Pageauian Christian Neoplatonic answer, in my opinion. I think it's beautiful. I think it's right.
I also
Jason?
probably say this real quick. Sterling, you've been in here for a while, man. How are you? I haven't seen you in a long time.
Yes, Sterling, please.
Sorry. Go ahead, man.
Thanks for having me.
I was just talking about you the other day.
What'd you
Actually,
say?
I was wondering.
Well,
It came up. I was mentioning how like other people have moved to other countries, and I was like, yeah, Sterling. We were talking about you, me and Jacob, I think, but I haven't seen you in a long time, man.
Sterling, where is Sterling from?
Yeah.
They call us passport bros. And I want to start by just admitting that my periphery is blurry. I believe in rituals of science, which, by the way, it sounds like something that happens at like Bohemian Grove, like rituals of like I don't know. I'm not a left brain. I'm not a left brainer or a right brainer. I think I probably use like the bottom of my brain or something like that. And I'm very skeptical of medicine, and taking it at low doses. Now, if you take them in high doses, then I'm convinced that they do work. And I have a math based brain. Like, as long as I have a calculator, and I think that I heard someone say something about being over logical, and that is dangerous.
Wait, your math-based brain?
As long as I have a calculator, then for some reason it doesn't work.
Well, what's 13 times 7?
Well, hang on a second.
He's gotta have the calculator.
I don't have a calculator right now. But
91.
I heard someone mention like being over logical, and I think it's dangerous, and so therefore, like, I strive to be like under logical, or like like as far away from
Optimally logical.
the better. Yeah. And
Sterling, you're hilarious.
So where's
wait, I can't read my own handwriting.
He was writing bits the whole time. Sterling was writing bits.
Yeah. Shit, I can't read the last one. I'm sorry, I can't read my own
where do you
handwriting.
live, Sterling?
But anyway, carry on. What's up, Water?
Where are you from?
Hey, you don't have anything serious to say? That was a great performance.
Well, that was a good
It's nice to meet
performance, but I've never met
was
Sterling
hilarious.
before.
You don't have any serious comment to say after all that?
No.
Hey, I love you for it. I love you for it.
You love what?
Rock on. I said I love you for it.
I thought
quite
you said you love my
serious-
forehead. I thought you said you love my forehead. I was like, really? Like, what?
No.
Wildheart, how you doing, Wildheart?
Thanks for letting me on. Yeah, I have quite a serious topic. I've just been listening for the last couple of minutes, and I have the intention. I have the opinion that God cannot be love, because God is defined in the Bible as jealous, and love is defined in the Bible as not jealous. So God cannot be love. They're not
Where's love defined as not jealous in the Bible?
love is not jealous. Love is not angry.
Oh, in the New
To anger.
Testament.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, in First Corinthians. Yeah, because I was thinking of Song of Songs.
Well,
I think it's
here's
Song of
what I would
Songs
say to
that says
that
that
is-
love is jealous.
Here's what I would say to that is, yeah, I think I think you nailed it. Is that you?
God cannot be loved, definitely. Just by the way we use words.
There's a paradox that it's the no thingness, that every time we try and name it, you're absolutely right. I think maybe the love part I'm trying to get at is the if God is the no thing, well then how do things exist? How does no thing allow things to exist? And I would say maybe that is what I'm looking for, is love, and maybe that would be
Nobody said
the
God is no
tripartite.
thing.
I don't know. I think that's a great point, though, Wildheart. I think you have a great point.
Thank you very much. And I do have an opinion on the nothing as well. I don't think nothing could ever exist. I don't think nothing, pure nothing, has ever existed. And I
No,
think
but you said I didn't say nothing. I said no thing. There's a difference
Yeah.
on a no thingness, and that the Vervakian use of the no thing, that this gets right to the left brain aspect, is that we always want to have that detailed thing, that object that we understand and can manipulate and abstract about, and God is precisely, as I humbly attempt to understand, is that is which is beyond. It's the paradox of God is in all things but not contained, beyond all things but not apart. But yeah, so I think you have a great point. So if there is the no thinginess, and then there are the thinginess of life, then I would say maybe that's where my point of love is the glue that affords that paradox to exist. But I love your point, Wildheart, and I thank you for the serious pushback there. That's fun.
Matthew.
I do like you. Yeah, you seem to be
Like,
pretty smart.
Matthew, have you ever talked to Jacob or listened to Jacob talk about the Kabbalah?
I do. This is hilarious. I'm not that familiar with Jacob's Corner. I've just recently listened to a little bit of I listened to like maybe 20 minutes of someone was doing Bible study, and it was Old Testament and Hebrew, and I just love the old stories. But let me tell you what, Wildheart just came in here and just kind of just blew me away. I mean, just put me right on my heels, seriously. And even you, Kirk, earlier. I mean, you had. You were really trying to engage with what I was talking about. If any of you guys are not familiar with Ian McGilchrist, I would say go look at Ian McGilchrist for sure.
How do you spell his name?
Ian McGilchrist, IAN McGilchrist. He is the leader on Brain Hemisphere, hands down.
And are you like a Protestant or a Catholic or Eastern Orthodox or?
So here, all right, now I'm in the little corner, so I can get real good with you guys. I actually would technically identify as a Zen Christian. I went all the way down the Vervaeke. How familiar are any of you guys with Vervaeke?
I'm mostly familiar with Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro. I don't know much for Vicky.
Okay. Sterling, the raising. Okay, so I'm the big Vervaeke geek. I've listened to Awakening from the Meaning Crisis too many times. I fell in love with Cogsci. So I went down the whole, and it's so funny because you can believe me or not, but without contradiction, fellas, without contradiction, my brain was able to rationalize it all. From the New Age to Buddhism to Cogsci to Neoplatonism to Zen Neoplatonism to popped all the way out to Christian, but recognizing that you can deconstruct all of Christian's institutions all the way down to the only true Christians. I mean, this is my little piece on it. Only the true Christians were those who were there around Christ to really get his teachings, right? Everything else can be polluted through the interpretation of corrupt humans and institutions. But my point with that is, so the Zen Christian would say, take the message, and the message is be like Christ. And now the phenomenological answer is, I'm an Italian American. All my family's Catholic. I was raised in a Catholic church. I take the Pageauian advice of deconstruct all you know and love until you pop out on the other side as an embodied, consciousness and participate. And so I jumped back into church once. I was going to meditate at a Buddhist at a Buddhist temple, and it was giving me anxiety. And I walked back into a Catholic church to meditate there, and I never left.
Well, have anybody raise your hand if you've been to a synagogue?
I've never been. No.
Okay, so
You
basically,
guys are in the news right now.
What?
You guys are in the news right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Like, some weird synagogue thing. I haven't even looked at it. I haven't even looked at it yet.
Synagogue?
If I can just mention a point before I forget, I would
Go
have
ahead.
kind of a left field kind of question about when you say that it's just down to the people who followed Christ who met him. Paul, I would be interested in your views on Paul, because Paul never actually met the living Jesus. He saw visions of him after he was dead.
Yeah.
So would you
No,
class
like I said. Say that again. The last part.
Yeah, would you class Paul as a true disciple because he never actually met the guy? Do you know what I mean?
Okay, so that was kind of where I landed. Remember, it comes down to the message. I believe in Zen Christianity. Did Paul find the message of Christ, and did he embody it? To the best he could, and recognize his a sinner. Did he participate in the story that Jesus lays out? As the Zen Christian move is, I think that's because like I said, you can deconstruct it all, man. This is I have so many. It gets weird political blurriness in America. I don't know how many of you guys in America, but you can critique the Protestantism and the propositional tyranny and the Reformation all you want, and I can do it as good as anybody. The fact is, they changed the world, and I'm as Protestant as a lot of people. Catholic had a Reformation after it. We all really value the propositional. We are swimming in the Protestant waters, and that's fine. But the fact is I can deconstruct it all the way down too. You can point out the corruption all the way, and that is the paradox of Luther, right? Pageau nails it. I'm with Luther until he names priests, and he has done the same thing everybody else did. He has assumed a hierarchy, and that will be corrupt. And so the question is when and how do you address corruption? Do you revolt and restart, or do you try and reform and keep the entity? I think that's a perennial question.
But do you think how much you change the world, believe in something, makes any difference as to whether the thing you believe in is actually true? Someone could believe something that's false and change the world, but it doesn't make the thing true. They could just be wrong about the thing, and they could still change the world. It doesn't make the initial thing true, just how much you affect the world around you. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
I don't know if I understood it, but I think. I think I did understand it. That's where I was going to go with Kirk. That's where I was going to go. I think what you're doing is I think what you're doing is you're putting your finger on the very blurry and messiness of where truth and pragmatism comes in, and millennia and millennia of tried and true tradition. It's like, if it's been working for millions of years, is it true? That's kind of the JP's thing, right? It's like, or one of his points.
Well, I
And,
mean,
so if that's what you were getting at, I think you have a good point. I don't know if I necessarily have an answer. Sterling, Jason, anybody?
Yes.
I mean, I could go off if you'd like.
And Wildheart, I'm loving it. You're fantastic. But yeah, go ahead, Kirk. I just want to I'm an extrovert, man. I
Read or
don't want to
listened
hide.
to anything about from Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche? So one of the
Yeah, I butchered a quote of his earlier.
Yeah. So one of the interesting things about Nietzsche is that Nietzsche believed, in a sense, that one of the issues with the religion is you sort of it does become dogmatic. But for instance, one of the ideas Nietzsche had is that in a sense, each individual man creates his own values in the universe, and in a sense, all these values are the building blocks of the universe, but they have to come from man's creativity. Like, I don't think Nietzsche believed in the idea of independent truth outside of the human experience. I think he believed that the human experience informs truth through action, if that makes sense. And like in that sense, when you do a religious ritual, does that religious ritual create any significance into the physical universe?
Okay, so if I understood you, I think that the rub there is the loss of the participatory, the loss of this dynamic coupling. Is I think JV's answer there would be we had already gone through this very post nominalism, or excuse me, I think I misspoke. We had already gone through this nominalism, I can't recall the exact years, but earlier in our culture's history, and then from there we also went through a transition of reading style to where these things kept on moving us inside and inside into this experience, to where once we had these few different psychotechnologies of reading, the Gutenberg revolution and stuff, this access to reading was much more prevalent, and we had this different experience of our relationship to reality and God. And so at that point with Nietzsche, I think, yeah, he's definitely in this. I mean, he's post Kant. I think he's post Kant even. So I'm all fuzzy on my history right now. It's getting late. But anyways, the point is he's way far in the story. Yes, he is, exactly. Thank you, sir. So my point is, he's even further disembodied, and so he's definitely not going to recognize that the embodiment, this dynamic coupling from you are an embodied creature embedded in a embodied with an agent environment, agent arena coupling, embedded in a community, that gives you these perspectives and take part in these procedures and rituals that can afford you then these powerful propositions and technologies. It's like, yeah, he's so far down the list is he's not going to recognize that. Yeah, there's much more mysterious things going on. There's much more of the technical term that I like is a dynamical coupling. It's this dance that we have with reality. Here's the thing, Kirk. If you do enough weird rituals long enough and you survive, you can change reality. You can affect reality. Like, we are the beavers, like, right? We participate, like a beaver affects the river. It participates in the river. Correct?
Yeah, but I think what Nietzsche would say is that those rituals are like those values that you're creating with religion are trying to become subservient to a higher power that doesn't necessarily exist. Now, I'm not saying it's true, but I do.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he was a staunch atheist, but I don't think he would say necessarily when you do religious rituals, it's necessarily doing it in account of a higher authority, like a river. Say, river is God, and humans are the beavers.
I think I would just have to admit I'm at the edge of my philosophical bona fides here, and my understanding from the guy who's taught me everything, Vervaeke, would be I think he's at the end of a confluence of historical and cultural and philosophical happenings and interpretations that he's not recognizing that there is an ultimate emanation and an ultimate emergence that are always interpenetrating eternally. The bottom up is just the inverted of the top down, and really I think the Neoplatonic, medieval Christian kind of view of it really has, that tripartite, that dynamic. It's this ultimate truth, and then it's also these percolating, emergent, subconscious, spiritual, collective subconscious urges of humanity, and they're both dancing. But to separate one or put one above the other, it's like no, it's both and. It's both and.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. You need to have, you can't just have an empty circle.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I think that's very simple and kind of eloquent, actually. To once you have a circle, there's a something there.
Yeah. Andrew,
Yeah.
do you want to add something to this conversation?
How's it
What
going,
up,
Sterling? Long time no see.
Oh yeah, Andrew, how you doing, man? Yeah, it's good to see
Dude,
you. Sorry.
I'm like chilling under the covers. I do not want to get out of bed. But how about you? You got like glasses on. You looking hella fancy.
Oh yeah, yeah. I wanted to be like my buddy Wildheart over here. I brought Wildheart.
No,
over here.
Sterling always looks good. He always looks better than me. It's annoying.
He's a friend of mine, and he likes to.
Do you guys all know each other?
I know.
I know
I'm
Sterling.
friends with Wildheart, and I've been in this room before, so I've met Jason and Andrew, maybe Kirk. I think I met Kirk before once, maybe.
I don't
I got a
know.
question.
Maybe on
I
the
got a
Hebrew
question.
Bible stream.
Sorry, what?
We can all. I got a question. Does everybody recognize, or does everybody think that they are part of something called this little corner of the internet? You can nod,
Yes.
or Andrew.
Yes.
I am part of
Yeah.
the Jacob Federacci corner.
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay, cool. And so this is what's happening right now, I guess. Go ahead, Wildheart.
Yeah, I'd call it the Great Debate Community. I don't know. That's kind of the community I'm linked with, but I don't know how familiar you are.
I like to talk to interesting people in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So Wildheart, you've never heard of this little corner?
Yeah, but a lot of people use it. A lot of different communities use this little corner of the internet to be part of the.
But think about it. This corner is something greater than you. You're building reality.
Okay.
Jacob's
I
channel,
see what you're saying.
Matthew, Jacob's channel was heavily involved in Bridges of Meaning with PVK and stuff for a long time. He left Bridges of Meaning a while back. So so a lot of people on Jacob's channel have, coming from there's some people that have found him through Twitch, through other areas too, but it's all kind of interconnected, just maybe not as directly connected to where it
I found
started.
it stuff on the Noahide stuff.
Yeah.
Jason,
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. You look like a younger Italian version of Sterling.
I would go with that. That's a great point. I would go with that.
That's so funny.
I mean, Jason just looks
Also-
like a normal white guy. I mean,
This is a great experience. I'm seeing how diverse and how I'm really kind of getting an insight here into what I thought this little online community that I was participating in. Yeah, and Jason, I mentioned earlier, I admit a good bit of ignorance to the Federacci corner of this community. But you guys have been awesome. You guys have been so gracious. I mean, this has been so much fun, Jason. This has been so much fun.
well,
Kurt,
I don't know. We're all non-Jews here, but the way I was exposed to Jacob is from the Orthodox Jewish content. I mean, that's what seems to be what half of his channel is dedicated to, at least.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen, I just wanted to say.
See, I guess I guess he's real connected with PBK. Go ahead.
I just want to say a few things about what you guys said. It's very important. I really appreciate the dialogue. But yeah, I just want to say, like, God can't be love. And, you know, I agree, which is why we must choose hate, in my opinion. And as far as the term, like, no thing, I mean, when you said that, that's actually my preference on Tinder. Like, as long as they have no, but I guess that, you know, honestly, listen, that's just the no thinkingness. And listen, as far as someone mentioned, like, the brain hemisphere, and look, I'm not trying to push back on everything, and I'm not saying that the brain is flat, but I am a hemisphere denier.
Oh my gosh, I love this guy.
And I'm
You got to do stand up, buddy.
Listen, hashtag no curvature. All right.
Yeah.
And, sorry, bear with me.
We have comedic relief.
Oh,
this
no,
is
my
great.
guy said that we've been in the news right now. Oh, he just said I was like, he said, who's ever been in the synagogue? I raised my hand. He's like, oh, you've been in the news right now. I was like, for what? Like being in a synagogue when I was 12? Like, I don't understand. Like, for what? Like, I don't know what that means, but I'm not asking you to clarify necessarily. And I address someone. You talked about the no naming of priest, yeah. And I think that is how I address corruption. Just don't as long as you don't name the priest. You know what I mean?
think I think it's a different kind of.
As far as like psychotechnology, like to me, when I've never heard that word before, the first thing I thought of was like one of those 8 balls that you shake up. Like, is it gonna happen? You know what I mean? Like, as far as
that's a great.
Yeah.
Dude, you're hilarious. This guy's a genius.
Has
and I
Sterling
don't
ever
believe
talked?
in being subservient to a higher power.
Well, have you ever talked
But
to
now,
Father Stephen
if you
Young on
want to be
here?
subservient to like a lower power, that's very humble, and I'm fine. I'm fine with that. And as far as an empty circle, someone mentioned an empty circle, and that goes full circle. I can't even do that. I don't. No, that's all I got. I can't. That's it.
Hey, that's great. Woo! Good job. Hey, well done.
That deserves a clap. Yeah.
Well done.
Hey guys,
Oh,
I
man.
will say I probably gotta hop off here, but I think, to my understanding, I think I can leave it running, and it will.
What
just
time
end
is it while you're where you are? What time is it where you're at?
1:30 a.m.
Wait, where are you?
I'm in East Tennessee. 1:30 in the morning.
I mean, good night. I mean, 1:30. I mean, that's.
It's
It's not
6:30 in the
super
morning.
late.
I've been to bed at
Pretty late.
like
will be good
2:30
morning.
before, but
I don't know. It might. I'm not sure because I'm kind of the host, so it might end. But I don't think it does. From what I understand,
No,
it'll
I
keep
think,
going
I think you
until
can leave it
guys.
running, but I'd be careful. Yeah.
What?
I think you can leave it running, but you'll obviously not be able to let anyone else that joins. But
Yeah, I don't think
you
anyone
can
can join, and then I think once you guys leave,
Yeah.
it'll just end after a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Well, you guys carry on then, and I'll probably listen back later or something. So.
Cheers.
All right,
Cheers.
have a good night, guys.
cheers.
Good night, Jason. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I'll be honest. I
Yeah,
only
so-
keep that guy. Like I don't know the rest of y'all.
Oh, well, so I wanted to just mention that if nobody else has anything else to say about it, so I come from more of the John Vervaekian corner with like the cognitive science stuff. Wild Heart, you're familiar?
No, I did have a question. When you said you're some kind of Christian, a Zen Christian, I would like you to go into. I'm just not familiar with the term. That's all. I'm not against it or anything. But
Okay, so
what is the Zen
basically what I take to the point is that you can actually protest everything. You don't have to just protest the Pope. And I think we're seeing that today, right? You see, you can protest biology, and so I can deconstruct a very technical, academic, refined way of protesting the propositions and the notions that once Christ was there and was this embodiment of the way, the life, and the truth. He was saying that we are part of we are just another fractal of the ultimate reality of the ultimate goodness of the thing that we cannot describe, the no thinginess, that you can embody this and embody this love, this self-sacrificial love, and that that is the message. And if you embody that, then there's there's a resurrection. There's this is the recognition of the transcendent. This is how to participate in the highest, and you can properly live. You can properly rebirth and live, quotes, metaphorically live forever, because the base of all of our cognition is metaphor, right? We cannot grasp the infinite combinatorial reality. Go ahead.
I just want to say,
Go ahead.
That's a strange starting off point. If we can accept that Jesus is God, and that's a strange place to start, like in human history. Why should we start there? Why should we start believing that? Shouldn't we question that as well?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Well,
It's interesting, and the fact is, if you have a calendar right now, you probably are living by the fact that that was a turning point, right?
That's the Gregorian calendar, and lots of different countries have lots of different calendars. That's the most popular one, but
yes, the most popular.
Christianity is the most popular religion. It doesn't make it true.
Yeah, when you're done with
No. I
Yeah.
Say it again.
When you're done, I'll just respond to what Lionheart said, or Wildheart said.
Okay, yeah. So, and I just want to finish the thing on the Zen Christian was that, and so my take on it is that you can deconstruct and recognize that the message of Christ has then been, through Christianity now, has been filtered through humans and interpretive structures that are prone to sin, acrasia, corruption, and failure and misinterpretation. And so my thing is, in a very kind of Protestant way, like I said, they changed the world, is that if you can get the spirit of it, now here comes the Catholic Orthodox, though, is you have to embody that spirit. You can't just say, oh, I have the spirit, I think embodiment is.
I still don't understand why you're starting off with the presupposition that.
Can I respond to Wildheart real quick?
Yeah.
Well, so
Say it again.
I would start.
Hold on, what did I say?
I was just saying, I'm still kind of stuck on the point of why would you presuppose that Christ is God? You kind of starting and using that as a jumping off point.
Can I respond
I'm kind
to
of not there with you. I don't agree that Jesus was God. So why are you starting there and saying, if we take it for granted that Jesus was God? Well, I kind of don't. So it doesn't anything you say from then on.
In my opinion,
that's okay.
The thing that makes Judaism superior to Christianity is that in Judaism there was national revelation compared to Christianity, which was individual revelation. So in Judaism, you had an entire nation of people collectively receiving a tradition, at Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai, and that sort of collective inheritance, or collective unconscious, as Jordan Peterson would like to put it, like in Jungian terms, to me, that's more believable that that's connecting to a higher power, the Torah, compared to Christianity and Jesus, where it's, Jesus was an individual man, whereas the giving of the Torah was to an entire nation of people. The same thing is problematic with Islam, right? Muhammad was a man, whereas, the Jewish people were a nation who got the Torah, and can attest to that fact throughout history.
I get what you're saying. That's a valid point. Yeah. I will say that's kind of more believable than individual Jesus was known by a few people when he was around, and maybe up to 500 people saw him resurrected, if you believe Paul, which I personally don't. But yeah, it is more believable that an all-knowing, all-powerful, omnipresent God would give his word to the whole nation or the whole world, rather than we'll give you little bits, but then you have to believe it. So it's dependent on you whether you believe it or not. It's kind of, if God exists, we should all know about it. Give us a chance. Do you know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. Let me ask: are you like an atheist, or?
I am atheist. Yeah.
Well, so what I would say to that is I'm not necessarily opposed to atheists as individuals, but what I would say is the leap of faith that a religious person does is it's not just even Judaism, it's all religions really. It's recognizing if we acknowledge we live in this universe, how do we know, for example, in this universe, like what like is the origin of it? Like, do you think that when the universe like formed into existence, like what do you think is the starting point? Because in order to have a coherent ideology, you have to have a starting point to build a framework around.
I would say I don't
Yeah.
know, and I don't know, and nobody knows. If you're going back to the Big Bang, we don't know what caused the Big Bang. We don't know what was before the Big Bang. We don't know how. So
Okay.
rather than having a starting
Hey.
point and saying we need to know something, I would just say I don't know. And we've got,
Okay, so I got-
but
I would say, so what I would say, and this might not land, but so what I would say is you have the modern worldview, which is the inversion of the ancient worldview. Because the ancient worldview, what I think to them, the ultimate sacred was that which cannot be named, is exactly what you just said, that we cannot know and nobody can know. I think it's the same abstraction. And so I think we have spun our way through cultural and historical and philosophical and cognitive and instances and happenings to where now we are in this propositionally scientific powerful realm to where the notion, and we're so disconnected from what they thought and understood as that which cannot be named, the most true, the most beyond the no thinginess, and I think that's where the paradox is, and that's why we have this huge rift of the science, the science. I won't say sciencers because those people don't even talk to religious people, but the atheist versus the and here's my point with John Vervaeke. My hero is he calls himself a non-theist, so I don't know if you would make that distinction to where he just he says he doesn't believe in no God. He just thinks it's not really relevant. But my point here's my sticking point, because I came from a very rational, nearly atheistic, I was some doing Buddhist stuff, then into the Neoplatonism, cognitive science stuff as I fell down the rabbit hole. But here's was the turning point for me, was the understanding that one, the fundamentality to a metaphorical base of your cognition. Okay. So that's all you have, okay, at the bottom of it. Besides indexicals, besides the thisness, the suchness, the moreness, the nowness, the here-ness, besides those indexicals, you have metaphorical cognition. So once you understand that, and then once you understand the fractal nature of that metaphor as what is the most complex and profound yet mysterious thing that you can think of, and it's a relationship to another human, in my opinion, and it would be a relationship to a all loving, parental, if you have a good parent, a great parent, that relationship is really, and so once you can, if you multiply those two, then you can jump right back into the phenomenological unknown recognition yet stance that we participate in this loving relationship, and that's where the point I wanted to go back to the Judaism was my point with the Christianity would be the love thy neighbor, love thy enemy distinction. But go ahead.
I would
Love
just say
thy neighbor,
that,
not thy enemy.
I would just say to that could all be true. Humans could be built to believe there's a God and think that there's a God and have this innate instinct that there's a God. That doesn't make a God exist. Humans could just be built that way to believe there's a God. That by itself has no impact on whether there actually is a God.
But do you even recognize? But do you even recognize the language you just used, built by some builder? You recognize the metaphor you used? Okay.
Creation needs a creator, but only if you call it a creation. If you don't accept that it's creation, and you just say we don't know what happened to start the universe. If you call it a creation, then by default it needs a creator. But I'm disagreeing with you calling it.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. Did you want to comment on the love thy enemy thing? That's where my besides besides the notion of Christ really coming back to taking away corruption of, hey, you know, it's in the heart of every human, you know, there is no Greek, there is no Roman.
100%, I agree.
You know, that notion and the fact that
I agree. 100%.
Go ahead.
And yeah, I just want to sneak in a few comments. Like, look, you can protest anything, which is different from protesting anything, just anything. And as far as a leap of faith, I am scared of that. Now, if you like, I think you should probably sell it more like, call it like a hop of faith, or just like a step of faith. Like maybe, you know, I'd be there. And the most I heard, so I'm going to push back on something, okay? All seriousness. I heard the most complex thing is a relationship with another human. Well, I mean, clearly you've never had two girlfriends. I mean, it gets really, I mean, you know, like two at the same time, like it's definitely, or I'm not even going into like a relationship with a non-human. I'm not speaking from experience, but like that seems a little more complex in my mind. Wrong page. No, that's all I got. Go ahead. Carry on.
Well, yeah, so I just very good story. That was very, very funny. Very talented. You should probably do stand up. But so that would be my point. And if you don't have much on it, I probably might sign off. I've been on here for a little while. Would just be I think the notion of if you take you know, my stance of, you know, the Old Testament versus New Testament of well, I guess you're an atheist, so maybe you're not even really arguing from the Old Testament point of view.
I kind of agree.
Yeah.
More
I'm
kind
the
of
Old
with the
Testament guy
Jewish.
here.
Yeah, I think Kurt wants to speak. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that would be my point against the Old Testament versus New Testament point. Would then, I guess, to you, Kirk. Excuse me, maybe I got real confused there, but I guess would be that the distinction of, you know, taking it to the individual in the spirit of, you know, of the individual, and then if you take that love is the binding of the one and the many, then to say that to say that love can even go out to your enemy, to say that even, you know, a sacrificial voluntary.
Like, no, I think the distinction between true love and weakness and like being pathetic is true love is being able to stand up for your values because you know they're good for other people and for yourself because they're eternally good values. And if someone is hurting your values, the only way to protect those true values, those good values, is to fight those enemies of good values.
Yeah,
and you should love.
I think that's St. Augustine's necessary evil. But what I would say to that is, but there's still, but that's fine. I think there's a both and here. I think you can have the necessary evil of protecting your values, but you can also love your enemy and let your enemy be your enemy and say, I'm not going to oppress you. I'm not going to subvert you. I'm not going to consume you. I'm not going to destroy you. I'm going to be the silver city on the hill. And if you want to be my what I call an existential enemy until eternity, then that is on you, pal. And I think that's the Christian stance, and that goes with a both and. That goes with the both and for the necessary evil of, I believe it's St. Augustine. I hope I'm not misquoting. That says, yeah, absolutely right. If you're gonna attack a Christian nation, the Christian nation should fight back.
And
Go ahead.
I would just point out that it's not a Christian thing. Love your enemy as yourself. It's actually flawed for one, but it was around way before the goal.
No. I'm saying love thy enemy.
Yeah, love thy enemy. Oh yeah, the golden rule is love your neighbor as yourself. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
No, the golden neighbor is love your neighbor, not your enemy.
Yeah, the golden rule.
Okay, but the Bible says love thine enemy.
Yeah.
But the Bible says love thine enemy is my point. The New Testament says love thine enemy.
Not the Bible. The Hebrew Bible doesn't say that.
Okay. All right, but that was all right, you guys are getting confused. That was my distinction for why I am a Zen Christian. Is because I think, why I believe in the turning point of Christ is because of those factors, or that is a big factor, at least. You know, upon multiple is the love thine enemy. When Christ embodies love thine enemy, and by the way, dies for it, self-sacrificial, and then changes the whole world because of it. If you've read Dominion, Tom Holland's book, I think the most profound academic work in the past few decades.
I can find a couple of problems with that. What if your enemy is a serial killer? Are you saying we should love all serial killers?
I think you should. I don't here. I think you should. I think you should love their humanity, but you should take the necessary evil of dealing with them. That would be
But
my
that's
answer.
not a necessary
that
evil. That's
wouldn't be
necessary
love.
good.
I can't hear both of you.
Sorry.
I said it's a necessary good to take out your enemy, not a necessary evil.
To kill, I would say to kill another human is a necessary evil.
If they're attacking you, if someone is coming at you with a gun, then to shoot them back is not
A
evil.
necessary evil.
It's a necessary good to defend yourself. Defense is
We're just okay.
righteous.
Well, we can agree to disagree. I would say to shoot another human, whether disregarding any circumstance, is a necessary evil, and that is my stance
But
as
I
a
don't
Zen
know why
Christian.
it's evil.
We
That's
go
a
to Catholic Church.
tautological argument.
Say it again.
But I don't know why it's evil though. That's what I don't understand. If they're nothing but destructive,
I'm taking a human's life who is in the image of God. I'm killing that.
So is
So
God a
that-
they're
serial killer?
ultimately going to have an afterlife where they're going to be judged too.
Can I just ask, is God a serial killer then? If you got a human being who's a serial killer and they're made in the image of God, does that make God a serial killer? I mean, he obviously is. He committed several genocides and commanded several genocides. So God is obviously a serial killer, but I'm saying if
Yeah, I would not agree. I would not agree. I would not agree with that he's a serial killer or that he's obviously a serial killer. Hold on. Let me respond to the part. Is God a serial killer because there are serial killers? No, God creates man in the image of Him, but He gives them free will to make choices because if you really love something, you would not command it to love you. You would want to give it the choice to love you. If you've ever experienced love, you want something to love you back on its own
what would be
on its own fruition, on its own recognition of you. So that would be my answer. And whatever has fallen is the lack. And I'm going to sign off after this because I don't really want to get in God serial killer conversations. But and I would say the lack in that human that is a serial killer is the movement away from the most true, the most good, and the most beautiful. And
I
that
would agree.
Even though God created the serial killer and God created the serial killer in the image of God, and God created them, it's the serial killer's fault that he's a serial killer, not God's.
Good night, fellas. I love you guys.
Good night.
Yeah.
Well, Wildheart, I think I'm going to start off here. Are y'all going to leave too?
I can stay around for a bit.
We're gonna stay around and take off all our clothes and we're gonna talk about
that was a joke. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 16 years old. Don't talk about that with me, please.
I'll talk about whatever. Clearly, I'll talk about whatever I want.
You wouldn't talk to a
you're 16. You're
about
very educated for a 16-year-old. I can say that. Yeah. I want to guess you were 16. You seem very educated.
I would hope so.
Yeah. Cool.
Is Sterling a Christian?
Sterling a Christian. Is Sterling a Christian? I don't know.
Do you believe that Christ is your risen Lord? That
Is Christ my what?
is Christ God? Do you follow the teachings of Christ? I think that's the general definition of Christian.
I don't think
Well,
teaching.
Yeah. So if you attack a Christian nation, I believe. All right, here I'm gonna answer your question. This is as straightforward as I can. Are you ready? I believe that if you attack a Christian nation, the nation should fight back. And I also believe in. I also believe in loving your enemy. I hope that's clear to you.
Yeah, that makes sense. But by Christian, I mean,
How
do
does
you
that
believe?
make sense? It doesn't make any
By
sense.
Christian, I mean,
How does
do
that
you
make
believe
sense?
in God and
Doesn't
that
make any
God
sense.
authored the Bible?
Huh?
Do you believe God authored the Bible?
Bro, I don't think you heard what I said. If you attack, this is from the Bible. This is what he just said. If you attack a Christian nation, the nation should fight back. Okay? I also believe in loving your enemy. And can you grasp that?
What? Yeah, I can grasp it. It just doesn't make much sense to me.
You just said that makes sense. You said when I first said it, you said that makes sense, and now you're saying no, that doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't make sense why you believe that. I understand the belief. I don't understand why you believe it. Do you believe
How
it
do
comes
you
from
understand
God?
the belief? It doesn't make sense.
No, yeah,
I
I can get what he's saying. It kind of makes sense as he now knows that's what you believe. If you're being
But I don't know
kind of
why you
honest,
believe it. Do you
but-
believe it because God commanded you?
But it doesn't matter why I believe it.
It
It's
does
just-
matter why you believe
No,
it. Do you
it's
believe
just
in
that,
God?
that if it just matters that if I believe that, the sentence is nonsensical. If you go from one sentence and say, I believe they should fight back, and then you say, I also think you should love your enemy, it makes no sense. And I don't believe it.
it is contradictory. But I
It's
think he was
ridiculous.
just saying it
But
makes sense.
I don't
in
really
that
care as much
he
about
understands that that's what you believe.
the
Well,
specific
then why did
doctrines
you
you believe in. I care about the origin of those doctrines. And the
But
origin
why
of
did
those
you ask me
doctrines
then if I
is
why
either
didn't you
God or
ask
not
me-
God.
Then why did you ask me if I'm a Christian, my guy, if you don't care what I believe in?
Because Christians believe in God.
But if, whether or not I believe in God, if you don't believe what I believe in, then why'd you ask? If you don't care what I believe in, why'd you ask me if I believe in God or Jesus?
I'm asking, do you believe in God, yes or no? And you haven't answered it.
You just said you don't care what I believe. Are you listening to yourself?
I honestly can't tell if you're trolling at this point, so I'm going to sign out. Or
Yeah, well, you should.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you. I appreciate what you said. It makes sense.
I mean, no, I do care what you believe. But you're not answering my question.
I think he's asking, are you an atheist or are you a believer of some
well,
kind?
he's asking
Maybe
that, and then he's also saying he doesn't care what I believe in, so I'm a little confused.
Okay,
No.
this is not
Yeah, it
serious.
doesn't make sense.
I don't care what
Oh God, here we go.
moral
Here we go. We're the
teachings
better.
you believe in. I care about your teachings regarding God.
He's saying that if you're right, Sterling, and what you believe, then he would like if you can convince him that you're right about what you believe, then he wants to know what's true. Basically,
Listen, cool kid. Cool kid. I'm just giving you a hard time, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you asking these questions at such a young age. And I wish I had asked a lot of questions at your age. I didn't. And I believed a lot of things that I didn't have good reason to believe in. And so like more like now, what I do, if you really want to know the truth, which is I'd rather make jokes. But if you really want to know, I don't know shit. I don't know anything. I don't know. And it's always
That's okay, and that's okay. It's okay to not know if you believe in God.
You're telling me. But I'm telling you that what's not okay is to come up and make a whole bunch of claims and act like you're an expert of a whole bunch of knowledge. But it's not okay because you might be wrong, and you might be blinded by the fact that you're wrong. And even if you were right, even though you couldn't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, it comes across as arrogant. And so, like, I'm not going to come up here and make a bunch of claims of knowledge. There's plenty of people doing that. So I would just encourage you not to be one of those people.
No, because there's a difference between making an epistemological claim and making a claim about a specific aspect of reality.
I'm making neither.
Well, I'm saying it's fine to make an epistemological claim if you can logically deduce it. In my opinion, then you can disagree with that. That's fine.
I'm just saying, any sort of claim is either gonna.
Sterling, he just asked you. He only asked you if you were a Christian.
Huh?
He only asked you if you were a Christian. It's kind of a yes or no answer.
I know, but I couldn't answer it with a joke, so I was like, I don't know how to answer it.
Fair enough.
I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not a Christian. I'm the most Christian.
Well, so how did you guys even?
I am. No, I don't know. I don't know.
How did you guys even discover Jacob's Corner?
I discovered it maybe almost a year ago, probably, and I searched for the worst channel and with the biggest loser on YouTube. I think it was. And, no, I'm kidding.
Let's not get you into too much trouble with Jacob.
I give Jacob shit all the time. He expects it. He knows. He's cool. I haven't been up here in a long time just because I get bored with these conversations and a lot of people making a lot of claims about a lot of things. And I just really wanted to introduce my buddy Wildheart because he does enjoy these channels. And so here we are.
Yeah.
So Wildheart, do you hang out in a lot of the YouTube politics or YouTube religion sphere, or
more the religion than the politics? Yeah, I've kind of been around the kind of great debate community for about 20 years.
Yeah,
So,
that is
yeah.
interesting. Have you ever heard this guy named Matt Dillahunty?
Oh yeah, atheist experience. Yeah, he's my
He-
god. Yeah,
Well,
that was
that
his
is
word.
pretty sad, Marcus.
True story. True story. He blocked me on Twitter probably like 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Well,
Yeah,
that's not a
6.
bad thing. Who cares what he thinks? I mean,
I'm guessing you're not a fan of Matt Dillahunty.
I think that he's not an ignoramus, but he says a lot of things with confidence that I don't think are true.
See, I like him because week after week on his show, or what used to be a show, the Atheist Experience, he just asked Christians or religious people to phone in and say what they believe and why they believe it. And none of it ever was convincing. Like for like 20, 25, 30 years, every week, he just asked Christians, Muslims, Jewish people to phone in and say what they believe and why they believe it.
I
And
bet
none
Kurt-
of it was ever convincing to
I bet
anyone.
I bet Kurt could have done it though.
What would you say to Matt Dillahunty, if I can ask that question?
I mean, off the top of my head, it's a little bit hard, but probably I think that it's just a difference of I acknowledge I live in a universe that is larger than me, and I acknowledge that universe is likely part of something that is larger than itself. And I have faith that that thing larger than the universe has interacted in the physical universe before.
And that is what it all comes down to, faith. Faith
Hold on,
is
hold
not
on.
a,
Hold on,
faith
hold
is, no,
Hold
no, sorry, just let me finish. Faith is not a good way to determine what is true or not. You can believe A based on faith, you can believe B based on faith, you can believe C based on faith. It's not a good way. You still don't know what is actually the case. You can
But
believe
everyone
anything
takes
based
a
on
leap of
faith.
faith. You don't know if you're a brain in vat. You don't know if you're a brain in a vat.
I know, but it's not good. It's not a good way. There are certain answers. There are certain questions that we don't have answers for. I don't know whether I'm a brain in a vat, but do I have faith that I'm not a brain in a vat? It's not faith. It's just I have no other option. I have to live life.
Well,
as
I have
it's
no other
presented to me.
option to believe in God then. I could use that same logic around you. To me, the answer to the God question is the same answer to the brain in the vat, which is I have faith there's something larger than me, and that is God. And you have faith that you're not a brain in the vat, and that faith is that you are a material being living in the universe. That we both take
Yeah.
steps of logic, but these are both steps to an ultimate reality that are both beyond this. And I'm not saying like I know exactly 100% sure how God manifests himself, but that's just my understanding from my experience of the world around me.
But what I'm saying is, you can believe the Bible is true and base that on faith. You can believe the Bible is false and base that on faith. How do you know whether the Bible's true or false?
The same, well, that's the same reason you know, like, again, you're using the word truth, but as I said with the brain in the vat example, truth isn't as simple as that. That's not how truth works. It's not like because human perception is involved. Like truth doesn't just exist outside of human perception. Truth has to be conceptualized by human beings who are capable of rationalizing and digesting that. And my
Right.
digesting.
So if I can put it another way, you have faith that God exists. I have faith that God doesn't exist. Who's correct? What is the actual state of affairs?
I don't know.
And there's no way of finding out. That is why faith is not a good way to decide what is true. Because, like you said, there's no way of knowing. You can believe God is real.
The same
I
thing
can
about the
believe
brain
God
in the
isn't
vat
real.
analogy.
You can believe that God is real. I can believe that God isn't real. How do we
I said
decide
that-
what is actually
but-
the case?
You just conceded that you're not a brain in the vat. Likely, most likely.
No, I have to act like I'm not a brain in the vat. There's no solution to the problem we've had solipsism. No one knows whether they're a brain in the vat. That doesn't mean that it's just we don't have an answer to it. It's a philosophical problem that we don't have an answer to. But when it comes to real things in the real world, using faith to define whether something is true or not is not a good way to go about it. Because you can believe something on faith, I can believe the exact opposite on faith, and neither of us knows whether it's true or not.
But how is God any different from the brain in the vat? Is what I'm confused about.
Because we don't have a choice. There is a choice as to whether God exists or not. It's God either exists or he doesn't. That is a state. What you believe about it is different, but there either is a God or there is not a God. Right? Do you agree with that? God either exists or he doesn't exist.
I just want to make a couple of controversial claims real quick. Just a couple.
Yeah.
Two. I acknowledge that the universe is bigger than me. And I also acknowledge, I should have started with this, that there are things that are bigger than me. And I know. Just let that sink in.
I'm waiting for the punchline.
I just meant to be like I know like a lot of people will like disagree, but like I just wanted to make a couple of controversial
I think
claims.
there are a lot of guys who are bigger than you.
Huh?
I think there are a lot of men who are bigger than you.
Yeah, I know, which is why I would never start any sentence. I would never say either one of these sentences. I acknowledge that the universe is bigger than me, as if anyone would debate that. I acknowledge, and even worse, I acknowledge that there are things bigger. Who's arguing with that? This is
Yeah, I still don't know how you get to therefore God exists. I admit the universe is bigger than me.
because he started.
How you then get to God existing?
Well, see,
It's the unmoving mover argument.
Huh?
It's the unmoving mover argument.
I can't hear you.
the first cause.
Huh?
It's the first cause. Something must have started everything, and I'm going to call whatever started that thing, even though I don't know what it was. I'm going to call that God. That's basically the
I
argument.
just don't know anyone who would say that. No, I disagree. I don't acknowledge that there are things bigger than me.
That's what I'm saying, though. No, everyone would agree with that, but then how you get therefore God exists? Everyone would agree that the universe is bigger than themselves.
And to say it in a way,
to
say it in a way, where it's like the first rung of your argument for literally anything is to start with, I do agree, acknowledge that the universe is bigger than me. Therefore, nothing like what?
Guys, I think I gotta get going soon.
Yeah,
Peace out.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I just want to know if Jacob is gonna watch this on a rerun. Hi, and hopefully find a wife soon. Adios.
Cool. Just fun. That's me.
All right, listen.
Are we done, Sterling?
I'm so tired of having my clothes on right now. Aren't you?
Yeah, should we?
Like, I mean, like,
Really
Jesus
never.
Christ, like I had to listen to this for fucking 2 hours. Like, I just want to take my clothes off without being booted.
You think you're bad? It's 7:05 in the morning, and I've been
I
up
don't
all
think I'm
night.
bad at all. That's a loaded question. At all. Like, I'm good. Bro. Let's
Yeah, but I don't think we should continue discussing this.
No. Thank y'all for having us. In all seriousness, thank you, Jacob. In all seriousness, Jacob, thank you. Have a good night.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.